government's no-fly list may not be able to board commercial aircraft, but they can still learn to fly their own planes, no problem. That's what the Homeland Security officials revealed today during a hearing on Capitol Hill. They say Americans get screened against terror lists when they apply for a pilot's license, but not when they enroll in flight school.
That person couldn't set foot on that plane as a passenger, yet they can begin to receive training to fly that plane no matter how long it takes. Correct?
That is correct.
Sir, does that make sense?
I can take that back to our Administrator Pistol, and take a look at that.
He's referring to the Transportation Security Administration, John Pistol. The Alabama Congressman Mike Rogers says he'd bring the issue to the TSA director himself, and other security officials say that a series of checks is now already in place to keep terrorists off U.S. airplanes. Trace Gallagher at LAX this afternoon. Are they at least checking students from outside the U.S., Trace?
No, Shep, and that's the problem, is the government says in many cases they're not checking them. You know, after 9/11, any foreigner who wanted to learn how to fly in this country was supposed to undergo a complete criminal background check, as well as being cross-checked with any kind of terror watch list. We now know that 30% of the flight students in this country are foreign nationals, and now the feds are saying that some of them are getting their training before they get their background checks, and some of them are in this country illegally to begin with. Here's more back and forth from today's hearing. Listen.
Mr. Lord, isn't it true that based on your report, the Transportation Security Administration cannot assure the American people that foreign terrorists are not in this country learning how to fly airplanes? Yes or no?
At this time, no.
That's what I thought.
The government investigation began when they learned that a Boston flight school was actually training illegal immigrants to fly, and in fact, the person running the flight school was an illegal immigrant.
Very nice. And after we learned a plane was stolen in Utah yesterday, are airports going to revisit security at all, fencing?
Well, TSA